Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to our 2024 Town Hall. I'm delighted to be speaking with all of you today. As I said pretty casually a minute ago, our audience is very broad. It includes some donors and funders, board members, and other volunteers. Many of our partners and staff are here, and it's a real pleasure to have all of you join us. This virtual platform is bringing us together from across Turtle Island, but the RISE head office is in Toronto. And so I'd like to acknowledge that this is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. This land is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis, and it's covered by Treaty 13 with Mississaugas of the Credit. So without further ado, we will jump in and we've got a few slides to share with you, and then we'll finish with, we hope, a fairly robust Q&A session, leaving time at the end to answer all of your questions. We're here because we've recently wrapped up our 2024 fiscal year. And it's my pleasure to say that it was our biggest year yet. That's becoming a bit of a broken record at RISE about breaking our records. In fact, this is the third consecutive year that we've been able to claim it's our best year yet. And we have every intention of continuing to do so. Last year, we dispersed more loans in a single fiscal year than ever before, saw growth across our training programs, and through a number of new initiatives, achieved very unprecedented client engagement. We really also established ourselves as a truly national organization last year, serving clients in every province across Canada and delivering programs in both official languages, which we're very pleased about. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished, and we really look forward to bringing you more details about that today. To do that, I'm joined by Nick Yeo, our Director of Programs, and Beth Day, our Chief Operating Officer. And to start, I'd like to turn things over to Nick, who will walk through a number of program highlights from the past year.
Thank you, Laurie, and good afternoon to all of our stakeholders here today at the Town Hall. I'm extremely proud to see the continued growth and success of our programs in fiscal 2024. The 124 loans dispersed represents over $500,000 of loan capital to our clients, capital that would normally be denied to them based on their mental health or addiction histories. The 86% repayment rate is also a testament to our clients that they are reliable and committed to pursuing their entrepreneurial passions. It's also a reflection of the trust that we build with each lending client, so they are confident knowing that we are in their corner. The types of training that we deliver to 361 individuals span across the entire continuum of readiness, for those who are starting their entrepreneurship journey by understanding where ideas come from, to those putting the finishing touches on their business plan to help them get launched. Everyone comes to RISE with a different definition of success, and their learning journey is a reflection of their goals and objectives. It's amazing to see just over 1,000 clients served across all of our programs. That calculates to nearly 3 unique individuals who are helped each day in the year. 3 more people were given an opportunity to move their lives forward through their pursuit of entrepreneurship. The RISE Business Booster bridges the gap between our training and lending programs by offering recent graduates the chance to access small loans up to $1,000 to move their early stage business ideas along. These clients join a small cohort of their peers, and for 6 months, they support each other to take their businesses to the next level. And finally, I'm also thrilled with our first foray into offering programming in French, thanks to the support of the federal government and the Women Entrepreneurship Strategy at ISED. Our Francophone facilitators and bilingual program staff are a first step towards fully meeting the needs of French-speaking entrepreneurs across the country. I'm now going to talk about the clients that we have served. And as the only national charity sitting at that intersection of mental health and entrepreneurship, it's fitting that our reach is truly coast to coast, where we have served, like Laurie mentioned, at least one client in every province. And it's true, a large majority of our clients are from Ontario, but we're glad and proud to see a significant representation out west in British Columbia and Alberta. Between our virtual delivery of training programs and a team of business advisors in 8 locations across the country, we are well placed to continue supporting entrepreneurs in every corner of Canada. The pie chart on the right on your screen shows how our clients' ages are distributed, with 59% between the ages of 25 and 45. The average age of a RISE client is about 35.9 years old. A person may face mental health or wellness challenges at any point in their life, so it's no surprise that we see this represented in our data. Anecdotally, we see youth clients who are eager to explore entrepreneurship as an option and use our training programs to test the waters. On the other hand, our older clients often come to RISE either out of a necessity, as a desire to move away from social assistance programs, or spurred by a decision to finally leap into entrepreneurship after many years in the workforce. Beyond location and age, I'd also like to talk about gender and racialized clients. When we look at their gender in fiscal year 24, 58% of our clients self-identified as being women. For the past several years, women have consistently represented the majority of our clients, even before our Women Plus program offering, and we anticipate this trend to continue. On the other hand, we have seen more racialized clients come to us for entrepreneurship programming and support. For clients who self-identified as being racialized, we saw an 11 percentage points increase from 40% in fiscal year 2023 to the 51% in fiscal 24 in that middle pie chart. This is reflective of our efforts over the course of our recently completed 3-year strategic plan, which you'll hear more about, to engage more diverse clients, resulting in a 32% increase in the overall proportion of our racialized clients in all of our programs. And most notably, I'd like to draw your attention that the number of racialized clients accessing our small business lending program has increased by 82% since 2021. So what these charts and the data tells us is that in fiscal 24, our quote unquote average RISE client is a racialized woman in her mid-30s living in Ontario. So thank you for your time. I'd now like to pass over to Beth to present a few next slides on RISE's impact.
Thank you, Nick, and welcome everybody. It's so nice to see all these familiar faces. So you heard Nick report some of our traditional KPIs just now: number of loans, dollars lent, repayment rates, number of clients served, and all the demographics. What really tells our story, however, and what our current and prospective funders and investors really like to hear about, is our social impact, which is something we've been measuring on an annual basis for over 7 years now. We're really proud to report that on average, 80% of RISE clients are still operating a business 5 years after receiving their loan. And what's important about the work we do at RISE is that we're not only helping people to launch a business, but we're supporting them to maintain and grow their businesses too. And so we survey our clients each year to learn about how their experience with RISE has impacted their personal, professional, and financial well-being. So the data points that you see on this slide are from our most recent social inclusion survey, which tell us that, for example, 83% of clients have grown their businesses in the last 12 months. And remember that not all clients going through our training programs launch their businesses right away. So 83% is a good number. It's an excellent result. 3/4 of clients report that their income has either increased or stayed the same in the past 12 months. Nearly 2/3 of our clients report having enough money to cover necessary expenses every month or most months in the past year, and that's a very big deal for our clients. And 4 in 5 clients report that they feel more confident making business decisions as a result of their experience with RISE. So, you know, we know that confidence is a huge contributor to well-being and quality of life. So we're very pleased to see this number. So these data points speak to our clients' ability to survive and thrive despite their personal challenges and despite the current economic climate in Canada. And it speaks also to the very important role of mentoring in our client success. So I want to give a special shout out to all of our volunteer mentors who are on the call. Lori talked about our pattern of best ever best year ever, and that year-over-year growth that Rise has experienced. And I do believe that much of what has driven this remarkable progress recently has been our focus on our three-year strategic plan that was referred to, called Rise Above. And we just wrapped that up this past April. It really is not an exaggeration to say that Rise Above was a resounding success, and it's established a really strong foundation for future growth for us at Rise. So Rise Above focused on 3 strategic directions, and we achieved our goals in all 3 areas. Impact was the first one, and it was about increasing the breadth and depth of our programming. Nick mentioned a couple of big firsts for Rise. We launched our first Women Plus Entrepreneurship program, and we offered our program in French for the first time. So those are big for us. We served over 1,000 clients, which for us was a 111% increase over our baseline. And that growth came both from our lending program and our training programs. The second strategic direction was community. And our brand new client success department has created some really new and innovative opportunities for client and volunteer engagement. We've increased volunteer retention by 28%, and nearly 90% of our volunteers reported high satisfaction in their work with Rise. So we're very proud of that. But what we're most proud of, I would say, is that we launched the Rise Community, which is a dynamic online platform where over 400 clients engage in peer support, they connect with expert volunteers, and they participate in a lot of online events that are designed to help them build not only their business skills, but also life skills. And then our third pillar was sustainability. And this was all about preparing ourselves for even more growth, serving more clients as efficiently as possible. So thanks to some new process innovations, our front-facing staff, who are our business advisors, are more productive. So their personalized client work is tremendously time-consuming, but the average business advisor now processes close to 20 loans each, compared to 12 loans 3 years ago. So we're proud of that growth and that efficiency. And we've worked hard to retain our wonderful donors. Our retention rate is close to 90%. And we've worked to find new funding streams, which has and will result in increased revenue and a much larger donor pipeline for Rise. So this isn't on the slide, but I'm excited to announce that we've entered the impact investment space. We're looking to the social finance markets to help us access the growing amount of loan capital we need to achieve our growth ambitions. So we see this as an attractive investment for impact investors because it's supported by a strong balance sheet at Rise and a loan portfolio that de-risks the investment. So you'll be hearing more about that in the future, but for now, I'm going to hand it back to Lori to wrap us up.
Good Lord, 4 years in, and I'm still muting myself and trying to talk. Sorry about that. I just want to thank people for putting such lovely comments in the chat. It's been fun to read those as we've moved along. So much appreciated. You know, the next couple of slides are about the future, you know, and Beth talked a little bit about our social finance plans, and there's some information about that coming up. But I think to start, I'd really like to provide a bit of context, you know, about the demand and the need for what we do. Because it's really the context in which we find ourselves right now in Canada that is setting the stage for Rise for the next chapter of our journey. You know, Beth talked about the conclusion of our first comprehensive strategic plan, and we're moving into the next chapter now, which is very exciting. You know, there's some statistics on the slide in front of you, which I won't repeat, and I'm sure you've seen many of these over time. The reality is that for our clients, you know, those statistics really manifest as precarious employment, as high as 90% for people with a serious mental illness. So that's where we come in, you know, at the intersection of mental health and entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is often an excellent, if not the only employment option for some of the folks that we serve. But accessing resources to start a business can be extremely hard, if not impossible, for a lot of people. I think, one thing I've been sharing lately more often with external audiences is that 10% of Canada's labor force is made up of solo entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, if you will, truly self-employed individuals with no employees. And these people are Rise's bread and butter. Most never hire staff, but they're generating revenue and contributing to the economy and to their families and communities all the same. The kinds of businesses that our clients start, it's very wide ranging, everything from skilled trades to dog walking, graphic design, artisans and other creative types of businesses, to consultants, right, in areas including mental health. So the thing is, solopreneurs are often not represented, within our systems, from a policy perspective, often neglected from that perspective. And so that's very top of mind for us as we're thinking about our program design and our innovations. So again, that's where Rise comes in. We are really filling gaps in our system to ensure that Canada's smallest businesses can access the training and the capital that they need to explore and really exploit their own economic potential. So what does that mean? Beth talked a little bit about our growth trajectory, and just to put a bit of a finer point on that, we're very focused on making sure that every Rise client is on a unique personal and entrepreneurial journey. We're interested in evolving our work based on data and client feedback to ensure that we can really reach Canadians with mental health and addiction challenges when and where they need us and how they need us, right? So we're in the very nascent stages of tripling the impact of our lending program by 2029. We intend to grow to 300 loans a year by the end of the next 5 years. And to finance that growth over the next 5 years, we know that we need to raise $4 million of new loan capital. So we'll, of course, continue to seek philanthropic support. And we have just launched an impact investment to raise repayable capital to finance new lending. So we're really excited about that. And there's a few folks on the call here today that have been quite instrumental in our impact investment journey. So you know who you are. Thank you very much. Importantly, going forward in the next number of years as well, we're very focused on flexible programming and providing additional support for our clients. So we're relaunching in-person training this fall. We used to do quite a lot of in-person cohorts in Toronto before COVID. And since then, we haven't done a lot of work in person. And so this fall in Toronto and Vancouver, we're actually taking steps to relaunch our in-person training programs. And so that's very exciting for all of us involved. We're also, we've recently created some new programs and initiatives like Rise Business Booster and lower value type event loans to help clients with smaller amounts of capital even get to the next level in their business success. And finally, I'd say that Nick and his team are evolving our programs so that there's different types of lower touch as well as accelerated programmatic supports. So again, we're wanting to accommodate our clients in terms of their scheduling needs, their, what the other commitments they have in their life. Sometimes people don't have 2 days a week for 10 weeks to engage in a Rise program. And so, evolving our supports and meeting people where they're at, I think is really important to make sure that we're addressing as many clients as we can across the country. So really flexible options. We're looking at creating some very flexible options to lower barriers to entry and engagement. So that's a little bit about our next chapter. Again, this fiscal year will really set the stage for us in terms of the growth that I spoke about and sort of some of that programmatic evolution. So more to come, but very exciting. And I guess finally, what I'd like to do is just tell you a little bit about one of our clients, because stories really help bring our work to life. And so on the screen now, you see the story of one RISE client, Sabrina, who is a unique client. She's leveraged various RISE supports over time, and as they've aligned with her particular entrepreneurial journey. So that's something we hope more and more clients will be able to do, and that they'll come to do. As we think about pathways for our clients and sort of an overall client journey with RISE, Sabrina is sort of our ideal for how we hope people will access our supports and services over their lifetime. So I'll pause just for a minute to let you read her story, and we certainly have some time for Q&A. And so Erin, why don't you give it 1 minute, and then we can stop sharing and we can see what questions people might have for us. And I'm reading comments. Thank you again. All right, Erin, why don't we stop sharing, and I'm happy to field questions. So you're welcome to either shout out, there's not so many folks that we won't be aware, or to put up your hand, or you could put questions in chat, whatever it is you're most comfortable doing. And certainly happy to hear what's on folks' minds. Jim, thank you for your comment there about the solopreneur context as a good platform to help bring policymakers from both the left and the right of center more firmly alongside our theory of change. Yes, would be interested to know how clients' needs and the demographics, I think you mean, have evolved over time and across Canada that could inform. Yeah, thank you very much for that. We agree with you. Yeah. Yeah. Nick, do you want to comment on that one at all?
Yeah, I can. I did make a quick response there, Jim. Those are excellent points, and I think that the solopreneurs is truly a reflection, right, of the dreams of some of our clients. I mean, Sabrina is a great example of someone who's managed to access our programming and continue to build build her business and her markets. But we certainly see clients who are, at the end of the day, are just looking for that extra little bit, $50, $100 per month at the end of the month, just to be able to feed their family. So there is this really strong case to be made that the large proportion of Canadians who are engaged in entrepreneurship are those solopreneurs, and really creating a space for that. And we have certainly expertise on our lending and training team to really dive into that. So definitely the theory of change is something we'll be constantly looking at, Jim. And if you do have some further information, I'd love to connect with you offline to discuss that.
Yeah, that's fine. Do reach out, Nick. Just two things. One is on that case study. I think what could additional points, although you've only got so much time on the screen, space on the screen, is what are the social and economic costs avoided from this individual going through, and you scale that not just to your client base, but also to all the others that each client touches, because each of these clients are now an advocate for more confident ways of thinking, self-advocacy. So that's all making an impact, and it's easy to just ignore. I mean, forget about dismiss, just not being aware of all this good stuff. And so if it's not articulated, qualified, and hopefully quantified, that then helps generate a broader feedback loop into what you're doing. And just to that point on the question I had around how things are changing, I mean, one of my thoughts is, are you getting, well, potentially there might be an undercurrent of older individuals, at least from my quite a few years now volunteering, although I put my hand up, I haven't done much with RISE recently. There might be an undercurrent of older male individuals, because if you look at who's on the street, it tends to be older males. And are there ways of sharing that learning, sharing that influence to that? Because I do know individuals who are focusing on that specific segment, and there may be others. So anyway, I'll stop there. Otherwise, I don't want to take up any more time. But it's great great what you're doing.
Jim, thank you so much. Really, and we've talked about that a lot in the past, Beth and I in particular, about quantifying, you know, the sort of cost savings to government, if you will, for the types of interventions and work that RISE provides in the lives of our clients. Not yet taken steps to be able to activate on that, but it remains very top of mind for us, and it's interesting that it's come up again today. So thank you very much for that.
Just listening to Jim's feedback. Sorry, I'm one of those mentor people. And from an opportunity cost perspective, I was also wondering, you've got incredible rates of success in terms of people keeping their business going and sustained and everything. And then you've obviously got a small percentage that doesn't work out. I'm wondering, have you generated from that sort of critical success factors or key pitfalls to watch out for early to sort of increase your chances of success?
Beth is the one who works closest with Elizabeth in our loan portfolio. So Beth, I wonder if you want to take a stab at that one to start, because that's a great question.
Yes, I will. And I think Nick probably could add to my comments. And thank you for the question. The short answer is there isn't one specific reason that people experience challenges with paying their loans back to RISE. So I mean, it could be business related, but it could very much be life getting in the way of what's going on for some of our clients. And so one thing that we do, I often say it distinguishes us from a bank, and one of my favorite bankers is on the line here, so I'm not going to say too much, but you know, one thing we can do because we're a charity is we can provide payment accommodation. So if there is a mental health episode or something going on in someone's life that prevents them from running their business and paying their loans, we can do accommodations. We can reduce their payments for a few months. So the short answer is it's a combination of business challenges and personal challenges. And I don't know, Nick, if you want to talk about, you know, some of the learnings we have about what kinds of businesses tend to be more successful than others.
Yeah, you know, I'll certainly pick up on that. But just to answer your question there, you know, there is the other element is about readiness, where we do see more successful clients going through our programs are those who have already made that first conceptual leap that entrepreneurship is right for me. We have had cases where our clients are coming to us who are just testing the waters and aren't quite sure if this is for them. So, you know, the programming, the working with our business advisors and our training facilitators really helps uncover for them, you know, is this the pathway I'd like to manage? Is this the direction I want to take my life in? And we do find that those who are, you know, a little bit further along that decision tree tend to complete the program, you know, with better results, tend to have a stronger plan and have thought through some of the business ramifications. So readiness for me is a really important metric. It is difficult to measure, but just by virtue of having a sense of how people are completing our programs, we do see readiness to be an important factor. When it comes to the business side of things, though, you know, every business is different. You know, we have seen, you know, like Laurie had mentioned, common business types, those in, you know, printing T-shirts, those who are doing some landscaping, some cleaning, you know, graphic design. Everyone comes to it with different needs and requirements. However, one of the strategies we have with our lending team is to ensure that we are not overcapitalizing or undercapitalizing our clients, right? So there's almost that magic sweet spot of how much money is just the right amount that encourages our clients. It gives them the ability to actually start doing business, but doesn't overburden them with the debt. It doesn't open up too many opportunities, because at that early stage of business, it does take time to establish your track record, establish your business traction, and ultimately find those clients, find your customers rather. our clients who come from backgrounds of not being in entrepreneurship often have big dreams, and we encourage the big dreams, but we try to lay out a pathway, an action plan of those small steps towards getting there. And again, going back to Sabrina's example, the slide would have talked about the small steps she took with going through our training program, getting an event loan to test particular markets out east, and then from there really scaling up. And we've seen that happen with a number of our clients over the years. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. That's very helpful, Beth and Nick. And interesting, only one other thing I'll add is that your readiness comment, Nick, triggers in me as I think through the various clients that I've worked with. There seems to also be some contribution, let's call it, to success based on the person's sort of learning attitude or habit or confidence to feel like they want to learn. Because I've also come across clients that are so focused on explaining to you how they've thought through everything, so that it's almost like, yeah, I've done all that. And you're like, okay, did you want to try? Like, it's just kind of interesting to me how it's actually the ones that are asking questions and have that sort of mindset tend to sort of propel themselves a little bit further than the ones that have got maybe this concern that they need to prove that they're okay.
That's a great observation, and certainly it is reflective of the different, like you said, learning styles or learning objectives people have. And I can say with confidence that across the board, our facilitators who train our clients through the training programs, as well as our business advisors, we are well equipped to manage and adapt to the different styles of our clients. But yes, entrepreneurship is a solo journey, right? It is something that on the individual themselves has to go on, and we support them to the best of our abilities and provide that wraparound support so that when they do have that question and they do realize we might be able to answer, or at least we can tell them where to find that answer, we'll be ready for them.
That's perfect. Thank you.
So there's a question in chat that I'll just read from Dawn. Thanks very much for the overview. Very informative and impressive results. Thank you, Dawn. Outside of social media, can you speak a little bit about how you do outreach to make people aware of your programs and funding opportunities, especially to those from diverse and racialized communities? That is an excellent question, Dawn. What I will say in brief is that we focus a lot on partnership. We actually, a number of years ago, how long ago, Beth? 2 years ago, maybe, we actually created a partnership checklist so that when we are actively seeking collaborative partners across Canada for our various programs, that we have a real framework within which to evaluate and assess the potential of those prospective partners. So with our training programs as well as our lending program, we quite actively seek those types of collaborations and partnerships across the country. So I'm going to pick on Nick again, because both the lending and the training programs report to Nick. And maybe, Nick, you could just kind of bring that alive a little bit with a couple of concrete examples of the types of partnerships we seek. And as Dawn asked, especially with those from diverse and racialized communities.
Yeah, and Dawn, it's great to see that question. From our perspective, we do sit in that space of business support, right? So that is our focus, and where we also recognize there are many other organizations and potential partners out there who are working with these diverse and racialized communities. So a part of this partnership checklist process is really identifying, I said sweet spot earlier, but I'm going to use that same language again, where how do we complement and not compete with the particular potential partners across the country. So For instance, although this hasn't been fully developed as a partnership, I have relied on a former RISE staff member of ours who has been building bridges with the Indigenous communities in southwestern Ontario. And through his work with some of those communities there, I've been starting to have initial conversations about, what might it look like for a RISE partnership with the Two Rivers organization? What might it look like for us to come in and help deliver some of this programming? We recognize we're not, the sole experts on this. There are many other organizations out there, but at the end of the day, it's about building those relationships. It's about creating some of that trust in that. I'd also like to call in. I noticed that Brandy Butts is in the audience here. Her organization out in BC, Community Futures, British Columbia. That is a great example of an organization where we've had a long running relationship, where we are reaching into perhaps rural communities where we don't have that physical space. So we, again, understanding that Community Futures operates in a more rural area, how can we combine forces and ensure that entrepreneurs with disabilities or entrepreneurs with mental health challenges are made aware of our programs? To answer specifically on what that looks like, Don, that sometimes comes in by doing a presentation to the staff of some of these organizations so that they can relay the message to their clients. Sometimes they already have a cohort of folks who are perhaps learning about financial literacy, or perhaps are looking at, opportunities after they've completed a self-employment training program through the Ontario Works, for instance. So we can come in and act as a presentation, as a content partner to deliver on, working with RISE. What does that look like? Talk through the steps and set those expectations for our clients. At the end of the day, it's about, like I said, building those relationships and creating the functionality so that that client experience is as smooth as possible.
Thanks, Nick. So lots of partnerships all the time. So there's a couple of other questions in chat. I'm just going to continue. Wayne, thank you, Wayne. 2 questions, one of which we've answered, your rural question, you said. But your first question, I love this one. Have there been cases or opportunities of clients collaborating with each other instead of solopreneurs? They are duopreneurs, or more working together. So what I would say to that is, and I'm going to turn this one over to Beth in a minute to talk a little bit more about RISE Community. But what we've done through our client success department, Wayne, which is just a year old. We launched RISE Community a year ago. It's powered by Mighty Networks. The team is really energetically devoted to building out RISE Community as an important place for our current clients and alumni to seek, peer support, subject matter expert advice. All kinds of events are done through RISE Community. So it's become, in a very short period of time, a really critical place that RISE clients and alumni seek one another out. And Beth, maybe that's something you could speak a little bit more to, and or provide any other examples that come to mind for you of opportunities for our clients to work with one another.
Yes, for sure. I'll talk about RISE Community, but I do have another fun example. So the RISE Community, as I said, is really just a year old. We just had our 1-year birthday party for this initiative. And it started off as a way to bring people to make sure that once they're finished with their programming with RISE, we're not just leaving them. Everybody who gets a loan from us, of course, is matched with a mentor, but people coming from our training programs often still want to learn and connect. So the RISE Community has been tremendously successful in not only providing subject matter expertise to our clients, but in allowing them to sort of organically make their own connections. So that's a really important thing, and that just continues to grow. The other story I was going to tell is if any of you has ever attended one of our training program graduations, you will know this. And if you haven't, I would encourage you to reach out to one of us at RISE. The thing that's so magical about these graduations is you see the people in the class already starting to work together. They're bartering. You've got somebody who's a graphic designer helping somebody who does website design, and somebody who runs workshops needs help with their website. And they've already started to connect and work together, and in many cases, enter the barter economy. So that's a really fun thing to witness.
All right, moving to a question from Alf. Thank you, Alf. I hope you're well. I wonder if you're having a busy landscaping season. How does RISE manage the tension between the need to create results, which could lead to more conservative actions, lending standards, et cetera, versus meeting the needs of clients? And I'm happy to talk. Beth and I talk about this all the time. It's hard. It's really hard, Alf. Like, you've touched on something that's actually a very, very tough part of our job and our role as stewards of this organization. Sometimes we need to say no. You know, last week, Beth actually declined a small loan because she felt it was just too risky, even though the amount of capital that was being requested was not necessarily that great. You know, so luckily we have within our organization people whose jobs it is to do everything, right? We've got Beth and I, you know, we are paying attention to risk, and I report to the board, and a couple of board members on the call today. I hope that they would say that we're always very mindful of risk, and we're very transparent and very communicative where we see problems arise. Our frontline staff, many of whom are on the call today, our business advisors, our lending program manager, they are the heart and soul of this organization in many ways, because they carry with them our clients and our clients' needs. And we really rely on them to be the most heartfelt humans possible, and they are representing the best interests of our clients. And I think that through careful and caring dialogue within this organization, where we have disagreements or we need to bridge gaps, I think that we do that quite successfully through very careful and caring dialogue with one another, with our board, and if necessary, with our clients and with our volunteers. So it's not easy, you know, it's a balancing act that we are all mindful of, and on a daily basis, you know, there is likely something that comes up that requires that, you know, foot in both camps, you know, managing the organization as well as, you know, carrying the best interests of our clients forward. So there's no easy answer to that question, Alf. All I can say is that I think what we've done is developed the right culture. This is where culture is imperative. And in developing the right culture within this organization, we're able to have the conversations that we need to have, and do that in the most respectful way possible. I think we have no more questions in chat. Is there anybody else that would like to put up their hand or pose a question? I hear none. We can give you 14 minutes back in your day if you like. We're also happy to linger. So if you would like to drop off, you are most welcome, with our great thanks for your attendance today and for your incredibly thoughtful questions and conversation. We're so proud of the work that we do and the work of our clients, and sharing that with all of you in this type of way is extremely special.
Thank you very much. This was really informative and helpful, and I'll sign off now.
Thank you so much. Have a great, and thank you for volunteering. We rely on people like you very, very much. So thank you so much.
It's great all around, so.
Wow, there's so many comments now. I can't even. Bye, Alf. I see you waving. Bye.
Well, that's a nice list of all our volunteers. That's nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Laura.
Oh, that's nice, Katie. Lovely. Bernard, how are you? I haven't seen you in a very long time.
I'm doing well at the moment. So it's but I think it'll be for a while. There might be reasons not to be spending too active time, but I do like these occasions to sort of keep in touch with what's happening.
Well, we're really delighted that you choose to join us still after all this time. Thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure. I think it's a wonderful organization. I'm always very proud of what you've been doing and how you're advancing and trying to improve all the time. It's
Oh,
making
thank
a
you.
great difference to a lot of people, I'm sure.
Thank you, Bernard.
Well, Erin, I think we can probably shut down if folks have no further questions.
Sure, we can shut it down.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone, for
everybody.
coming.
Yeah,
Have a
thank you very
wonderful
much.
afternoon. Bye, everybody.